Silent Hill 4: The Room was released back in 2004, just 1 year after the release of the previous game. It introduced an entirely original story that focuses the narrative on one particular location. Henry Townsend, the current occupier of room 302, has been living there for the last 2 years when he begins to suffer from headaches. He then finds himself trapped within the apartment with the front door mysteriously chained up from the inside. Henry must then try to find a way to escape from the nightmare that follows. In this video, I've managed to put together as many Easter eggs, references, and any other points of interest that I could find. And if you do enjoy this, then leave a like and subscribe, that way you can stay up to date on all future videos I put up. Now it's time to escape from room 302. During the loading screens, either the flickering image of the cult's symbol or an image of a ghostly figure will appear. The player is able to manipulate the images by using the thumbsticks to either move them around the screen, zoom toward or away, rotate, or even stretch the images. One of the earliest things you can do within the apartment is to check out a phone number that can be seen on a billboard across the street. By dialing the numbers on the bedside phone, you'll hear a creepy response. By looking through the peephole of the front door, you can see 15 bloody handprints that only Henry seems to notice. These represent the victims who were murdered by Walter Sullivan, and when checking back here every time he kills, the wall will add a fresh bloody handprint. Out of all the framed photos in the apartment, this one found above the sofa in the living room is of particular interest. The image shows the real-life location of Venice, Italy, given to Henry as a gift by the superintendent of the building, Frank Sunderland. He's the father of the Silent Hill 2 protagonist James Sunderland, who is searching for his sick wife Mary with the help of Maria, and the church scene within the photograph just so happens to be called the Santa Maria della Salute, or in the English translation, Saint Mary of Health. The game draws inspiration to the Alfred Hitchcock movie Rear Window. Both film and game have protagonists who are stuck in their apartments where their rooms overlook the building courtyard, and both of whom are photographers. Even the film's visuals look similar when Henry looks out of his window. In South Ashfield Station, there are 2 subway lines named after Stephen King and David Lynch. King, who's written many horror stories, has been homaged in previous games. And Lynch is a filmmaker whose works often take on a surreal and dreamlike quality. The Silent Hill games even seem to draw inspiration by his work on the TV series Twin Peaks, as the stories in the show involve doppelgangers and otherworldly dimensions. In several areas of the station are withered posters showing something called Havoc's Business Daily. The same poster can be seen on the wall at the shopping mall in Silent Hill 3. On the station platforms are 3 more street names based on film directors who contributed to the horror genre. John Carpenter directed one of the earliest slasher films, Halloween. George A. Romero created the modern image of zombies, and David Cronenberg has made movies around body horror. After returning to room 302, if Henry looks out of the window, he'll see the police has arrived at the subway station where Cynthia was murdered. And if Henry looks through the hole in the wall, where Eileen's bedroom is, it reveals that she's also taking a look at what's happening outside. If Henry remains still for a short time at any point during the game, he'll perform various idle animations. One weapon of particular interest is the chainsaw that can be obtained after completing the game and restarting on a brand new fear. Found in the forest world, if Henry stands idle, equipped with it, he'll hold it above his head like James Sunderland. Their actions are a likely homage to the horror legend Leatherface. The person that Henry meets within the forest world, Jasper Gain, appears to be wearing a t-shirt showing one of the final bosses from the first game, known as Incubus. Below the image is the word Hauris, which is another name for Flaurus, which was an item used to nullify a lesser's powers. After returning to room 302 from the forest world, if you look out of the window, a hot air balloon may be spotted floating across the sky. The balloon's design appears to be the head of Robbie the Rabbit, a mascot of Lakeside Amusement Park, whose likeness can be found in various places in the Silent Hill series. First discovered in the water prison world, these limited items, called Saint Medallion, can repel the hauntings that occur in the second half of the game. On a closer look, the image on the medallion reveals an adult Alessa Gillespie holding baby Heather Mason, the same image as the painting scene at the end of Silent Hill 3. Out of all the melee weapons in the game, the most difficult to find is probably the stun gun. Found on the second floor of the prison, Henry can only enter the locked cell by aligning the room above with a hole to jump down from, and is located under the small table. The radio in Henry's living room plays various broadcasts throughout the game, and most of the time they are random topics, but there's one news report that seems to be a joke by the developers, as the name mentioned in it is that of the game director.
Police arrested a Mr. Saguru Murakashi after he was discovered naked, urinating from the top of a utility pole in North Ashfield.
At the very start of the building world, there's something that can be easily missed while walking down this alleyway. If the camera is tilted up at the right moment, then you'll briefly see a group of gumheads jumping across the building. Like with the chainsaw, there are other melee weapons that Henry will do unique idle animations with, such as the golf clubs, the aluminium bat, and the spade. Restaurant Fuseli may be a reference to the Swiss painter Henry Fuseli, which is the building on the street corner that you can see through the window. Many of his works focused on the supernatural, with his paintings having a dreamlike or nightmarish quality to them. A rare and creepy event can happen in front of the living room window after Henry leaves the building world. If you stare at the window long enough, The ghostly severed head of Andrew DeSalvo may briefly be seen floating by. Since the last two games, a running joke can be found in the bathroom after completing the building world. By inspecting the toilet, there'll be an option available to pick up a mysterious item within the bowl. If the player selects yes, Henry will refuse to stick his hand in, much like Heather's refusal from the last game, and is meant to poke fun at James Sunderland, who's the only character to brave putting his hand into a toilet. In room 301 of the apartment building, you can read a familiar article that was written by Joseph Schreiber, the same article that Heather Mason found within Brookhaven Hospital in Silent Hill 3. The only obvious difference is the name of the orphanage changed from Hope House to Wish House. At some point while exploring the apartment world, if Henry returns to room 302, then looks through the front door peephole, you may find Walter Sullivan walking up to the door and staring right back at you. In one of the second floor rooms of the hospital, there's an empty wheelchair that is casting a ghostly shadow across the floor. No noise can be heard as the oddly shaped silhouette rocks back and forth, and even stands upright briefly like it was stretching its legs. If Henry leaves the room, then returns to it, the wheelchair will have vanished. In another room of the second floor hospital is a giant Eileen head, whose eyes always follow Henry. It doesn't respond to any form of attack, however, there's a small detail that can be seen if the player acquired the stun gun. If you attack the head with it, then her eyes will flash. Throughout the game, Henry is harassed by many of Walter Sullivan's victims, who return as hostile ghosts. They are based on Japanese folklore called onryo, who are vengeful spirits that return to the world of the living to kill those who wronged them. One in particular, Cynthia Velasquez, even appears to resemble an onryo from popular Japanese horror movies such as The Ring and The Grudge. During Henry's first visit to the forest world, there are messages written in various areas of the level, and none of which Henry can read. But on later returning to the forest world with Eileen, if Henry stands close to one of these messages, Eileen will be able to read it. The writing appears to have been done by a young Walter Sullivan during his time in the orphanage. In Henry's second visit to the building world, there's a newspaper scattered on the floor just outside of the pet shop that can be read. Though it's not essential to the completion of the level, if you do read the report about the shooting that took place within this pet shop, then gunfire will be heard beyond the door. If Henry then returns to the pet shop, you'll find it left in bloody disarray. The silver bullets are a rare type of ammunition that can immobilize a ghost, allowing Henry to either escape or pin them down with a sword. and there are only 2 bullets that can be found along the journey to the bottom of Walter's hellish worlds. However, there is a 3rd silver bullet that can be collected. After Henry takes the keys of liberation, he would then have to return all the way back to Eileen's room in the hospital world to find it on the bed. The only problem with this is it takes around an hour to travel there and back. In Eileen's living room, there are 2 familiar items that are found in Silent Hill 3. On a clothes hanger is an orange skirt with the same patterns as the one seen in Boutique Marguerite. And on the wall nearby is a painting of squares like the one found in the Gallery of Fine Arts. Throughout the second half of the game, players will have to escort Eileen through several worlds, and depending on how well they defend her, will reflect on Eileen's physical appearance as well as her frame of mind. The worse she gets, the more bloody Eileen appears, and will take on the personality of a child Walter Sullivan, and near to the end of the game, this will even change 2 particular cutscenes.
Even finishing the 21 sacraments won't help that boy. Mommy? Why did you leave me? I'm scared. I'm so scared. It's dark. I'm so scared.
In the final battle against Walter, a possessed Eileen is slowly walking toward her death as she moves ever closer to the spinning contraption in the middle of the bloody pool. This might only be a coincidence, but the death trap looks similar to the gravity drive seen in the movie Event Horizon, and the film's plot also involves other hellish dimensions. After finishing Silent Hill, you can unlock other game modes as well as weapons like the chainsaw, but there is one option players can choose that requires a lot of time and effort to unlock, which are the 2 extra costumes for Eileen and Cynthia. The revealing nurse costume for Eileen can only be acquired if she survives, and the uniform would need to be collected from her apartment in a second playthrough before being able to see her wearing it in the third. And changing Cynthia into her alternate costume requires completing the game 4 times to get all possible endings before seeing her in lingerie during a 5th playthrough. She even has a tattoo of Robbie the Rabbit, and will do a special jiggle as Henry approaches her for the first time. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video and I hope you enjoyed it. So I will be uploading some more Silent Hill 4 videos next. One of them will be a monsters analysis and another will be focusing on revealing all of the cool hauntings that happen within room 302. So if you haven't yet and you want to see more content like this, then subscribe. That way you can stay up to date on all future videos I put up. And as always, thanks to all of you who have subscribed and are helping to make this channel grow. So until the next video, bye everyone.